welcome back to another guitar lesson. My name's Dany Oakes, and I'm going to show you a little bit of improvisation stuff in E minor today. It's really, we think of it like E. If we're playing like a 1-4-5 chord pattern, even though all my chords are major, the scale that I use is called an E minor blues scale. And then you'll see using partly chord tones to alter the scale a little bit. So this note right here, this is a G sharp, which is not part of the E minor blues scale. That one's not in there normally, but we throw it in there often in real music. That works really well over kind of rock, blues, country, things like that. So I'm going to just play a basic rhythm in E. So that was just an E to an A chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So that was a little turnaround at the end. Typically the last 2 bars or 2 measures of a 12-bar blues style song can be a turnaround. You can replace the chords that would normally be there with So let's look at a couple of licks that I did there. Actually, don't remember what I did, but so basically I was kind of going down the scale in 2 sequences or 2 rhythm themes. So that was just the scale. 1, 2. So I guess I'd double, if I did that, I would double the E note on the 4th string there. So I'd start from the G here, pull off, pull off, pull off twice, and then start from the E again, the note that I just played. Yeah, so that was just down the scale from E here, E, D. So I'm kind of borrowing from Stevie Ray Vaughan and Jimi Hendrix a little bit with those kind of licks and riffs and things. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll actually palm the pick and pick with my fingers to get a little more snap in that. That's kind of Mark Knopfler style from Dire Straits. A lot of people do that too. Danny Gatton and Billy Gibbons famously would hybrid pick a lot too. A lot of country players, Vince Gill's really good at that stuff as well. So hybrid picking is picking fingers, I might even play one note with a pick, next note with a finger, pick, finger, pick, finger, pick. So you hear a little different tonal characteristic, if I pull that string out. It's similar to pop technique in bass. Slapping pop stuff. that's really a fun scale to play with, because a great practice tool is to switch between chords and scales. So if you go, you know, okay. So a couple other tricks that I did there. One is I went from... So that's commonly used in a lot of like rockabilly, which is kind of a... I get to use one of my favorite words here, gamished. It's kind of blues, rock and roll, bluegrass, hillbilly music, jazz, swing. It's like all that stuff thrown together. So it can be really fun. But this is... really these notes right here, this is a G sharp. It's not part of the E minor pentatonic scale, but it is part of the E major pentatonic scale, and it's part of an E7 chord. So if I took a D7, for example, and moved it up a whole step, that's now an E7 chord. And that's another good turnaround technique too, is using these seventh chords. And so I know this was, oh, and also I did some sixths there as well when I was going to the A chord. So if I think of an A major scale on these three strings, and then on these three strings, and I put them together. And what a sixth means, it's the interval where you're 6 notes apart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then staying within that scale. This note's outside of the scale. Both of these are outside of the scale, and these are in. So you can go use passing tones like this. And that was resolving to the A there. So I know that was very random. There's a lot of stuff in there. It's maybe harder to digest as a beginning guitar player. But honestly, a lot of the things that I played there were the type of things that really mystified me when I was trying to learn how to get better at the guitar. And I would write it off as, oh, that's just easy, like blues stuff. It's always the same kind of things. And yes, there are familiar things in there, but you can be really creative with stuff. If you only have 3 chords and you put those corners or parameters on your thing that you're playing, you can get really creative with those 3 chords. And so I would encourage you to start exploring those scales. Feel free to play notes outside of the scales too. Any note is fair game. You just want to land on notes that sound good. So feel free to make little mistakes and try different things. You'll really learn a lot faster if you do that. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.